Hey y'all, welcome to the Second of Strength podcast. My name is Tanner Clark. I went from sitting at a desk to speaking on stage internationally to inspire teenagers and people like you. My goal is simple: help you find your 1 second of strength to walk away from the things that are holding you back, to step into your potential, and ultimately find happiness. Thank you for spending your valuable seconds with me today. Let's go. Welcome to the Second of Strength podcast, wherever you are. I'm having a good day. It's Friday. It's raining outside. I'm sitting here in this basement podcast studio with my dog, and he is just chilling next to me. I just got some amazing news, which I will tell you about later, as I don't think I'm allowed to say anything yet. So how's that for a teaser? Anyway, I hope you're doing well wherever you are. Thank you for spending your valuable seconds with me today. I know you have choices, and I know that time is valuable. So thank you for being here. If you haven't done so, if you could leave a 5-star review wherever you're listening to this, and hit subscribe. My hope is that we can help more people with this podcast, and that's one little piece that does that. It'll get served to more people if you do that. So anyway, but aside from that, I hope you're doing well. I'm grateful that you're here. We're going to talk today about overthinking. I think that this is so common in today's world that we overthink things, and it is a skill to not overthink. And here's what happens is, one of the reasons that we overthink so much is because we have a fear of the unknown. We have a fear of what could happen, right? If we make a choice in our lives, there can be a domino effect into the future worlds of whatever, right? And so I think that sometimes we get concerned that if we make a choice or we make the wrong choice, then bad things are going to happen to us. And so we have this fear and we have this anxiety. And I've talked about anxiety before. You've heard about anxiety, but anxiety is a fear of a future that is likely not going to happen. We get really worried about something that could happen in the future. And so we get stuck, and we get stuck in this place where we're not willing to choose. We're not willing to choose where we want to go. And so that in a nutshell is the challenge. We don't make choices. We overthink. We think about it for too long. And the actual definition of overthinking, you look it up in the dictionary, it says thinking about something for too long. And when we think about things for too long, my biggest fear, and now we're talking fear, but my biggest concern for you or for me is that we think about things too long. We miss opportunities that could happen or things that could benefit us in our future because we're just thinking too long. When in reality, a choice chosen eliminates fear and anxiety because you start living the choice that's made instead of projecting fear of a future that just isn't going to happen or still isn't decided. And so we just have to choose. We have to make a choice. We have to move forward. I think that we're better served to just make a choice and move forward and deal with positive, negative, whatever consequences that may happen. And let's be honest, most of the choices we're making on a day-to-day basis are not having any sort of long-term, big-time ramification in our lives. And certainly there's things that do make an impact on our life, those big decisions, and those big decisions, there's ways to overcome those. There's ways to think about those and do it. But yeah, I just think too often we're creating a problem that doesn't exist in our minds. And so we just get stuck in this overthinking loop. This, you hear it's paralysis by analysis. We just get stuck right where we are, thinking, instead of making a choice and moving forward. It's almost like that tire that if you get stuck in mud in your car or in snow or whatever, and you just spin that wheel where you are not making a choice or you're not moving forward because you're just ruminating on the same spot or the same thing over and over. And just like that car that's spinning in the mud, in the sand, in the snow, if you are spinning, you're not moving forward. You are stuck there. And so we want to take our lives and take action on the things wherever we're at in the decision-making process. We want to move forward and take action so that we can move to the next phase of our life and receive the benefits of whatever it is that we are stuck on, right? Whatever that decision that we're making. And so So today I'm going to just offer up 3 tips, 3 tactics, 3 ways that you can get out of the overthinking rut, that you can move forward, that you can start to move forward in your life. And it's just 3 simple things or thought process or ways to approach the decision-making process so that you can move forward, so that you can take advantage of the things in your life and come out in a better place. So the first thing is, I call it the rule of 30. And basically, it's this: when you have a small decision in your life, take 30 seconds and make a choice. When you have a medium decision, take 30 minutes. When you have a big decision in your life, take 30 hours. And it's just this way because what I think you need to do, and the tip number 1 is really set a deadline, set a timeline where you have to make a choice. Now, if there's still things that you need to figure out or whatever, then don't make a choice that isn't right or on inaccurate data or whatever it is. But essentially, tip number 1 is use the rule of 30 to set a deadline on your choices. If it's a small choice, 30 seconds. If it's a medium choice, you get 30 minutes. If it's a big decision, a big choice, then take 30 hours, right? Then ruminate it on 30 hours, but set that timer, set that timeline of when you need to decide so that you can make the choice and move forward, so you can get out of being stuck in the mud, because too often we just keep thinking, keep ruminating, trying to figure everything out and trying to almost orchestrate this like path forward or this like perfect scenario in our life that's going to happen based on the decisions we're making, when the reality is life just doesn't work that way. We just need to make a choice and move forward. There's this one of my favorite, I don't know if it's a quote or if it's like I don't even know what you call it, but one of my favorite things that I've ever heard was, if you are stuck between 2 choices, you're trying to make a decision between 2 things, the tip is this: flip a coin. Now, the answer isn't flip a coin and choose heads or tail and you do whichever one. But when you flip that coin, you know, your heart and your head will tell you before the coin hits the ground what you want. So flip the coin and your heart and your head is going to say, I hope it lands on heads. I hope it lands on tails. And so you don't even need to know what the outcome of the flip is, because you've already decided when that coin is in the air what the right choice is for you. So take time, set a timeline on your decisions. It's the rule of 30 seconds for small, 30 minutes for medium, 30 hours for big decisions. And look, if it still comes down to a coin toss, you're undecided between 2 things, flip your coin, because you're going to decide what the answer is before that coin ever even hits the ground. So that's number 1. The second one comes from Jeff Bezos. If you don't know who Jeff Bezos is, but so this is the 70% rule from Jeff Bezos, and it is to overcome paralysis by analysis, because you really can continue to think, continue to like pull in data points, ask people's opinions. You can continue to do that over and over and over again, because you're trying to get 100% of the information to make a choice. But here's the reality: you will never, ever, ever have 100% of the information. It just is not a thing. You're not going to get it. It's not there. And so if 100% of the information is not available, then we can't make that our goal to get 100%, right? We would love it. It's just not going to happen. So Jeff Bezos uses the 70% rule. He gets 70% of the information. You get most of the way there. And then you make an educated choice based off of the 70% that you have and move forward. Now, that's not to say that other data, other information might come into play after you've made a choice, and you can always reevaluate your decisions based on that. But at the end of the day, we have to get really comfortable with making a decision off of data that, or information, or things that are not completely there, because we're never going to get there all the way. And so that might cause fear, that might cause anxiety for you. But like I said on the outset, a choice chosen eliminates fear and anxiety, because you've already made the choice. You are projecting a future of fear that you are like, if I do this, then these bad things might happen. Well, make the choice, and you'll know pretty quick that those bad things are not going to happen. You'll know that fear that you've been harboring, that anxiety just isn't real, but you have to be willing to make that choice off of 70% data, 70% of your information. And that's how you can eliminate paralysis by analysis, because you've made a decision, or you've made a conscious effort that at 70%, or when you've got enough data or the majority of data or information, you're going to make that move. You're going to make that decision. You're going to move forward. And I think that when you do that, you set yourself up for success in the future, because you stop holding yourself back in a past or in a now that just isn't serving you the right way. So that's number 2. Number 1, rule of 30. Number 2, the 70% rule. And the number 3 is, I think, maybe the most valuable, because it comes down to clearing your head. We have so much information coming at us all times that we need to clear our heads. We need to walk away from the constant onslaught. And maybe more important, or the biggest challenge, is that you're trying to make a decision off of one thing, whatever that may be, but you can't focus on the decision or the task at hand because you're constantly being bombarded by so many different things in your life, right? Whether it's social media, whether it's instant gratification, whether it's the dopamine effect that's pulling you away or saying that you need to be spending time with your phone, or all of the other things that can come into your life in the form of distractions. Sometimes it's family, sometimes it's friends, sometimes it's just people around you, and so or work or school. Like, there's so many things that are constantly coming at us, right? It's like notification syndrome. I don't have notifications on my phone, so if you text me, if you send me a message on Instagram, if you anytime, any app on my phone, there is not a notification that comes and pings me and tells me that I need to get back to my phone, because I'm not willing to sacrifice what I'm doing for the distraction of what somebody else's needs in their lives. That's just not something I'm willing to do. So anytime I download an app and it says, hey, do you want notifications? I immediately say no. I recommend that you go in and immediately say no to all of the notifications, because if somebody really needs to get a hold of you, they're going to call you. Right? They're going to call you. Anybody else that's trying to get a hold of me on social media or any other place, it can wait. It's just not that important. And that doesn't mean that you're not important, or it doesn't mean that those things aren't important. But when it's pulling me away from what I'm focusing on and what I need to be doing in my life to advance my life, I can't be spending time doing whatever anybody else needs. It's very similar with work. You hear that chime, you get those pings, you get those emails all the time. And it's designed to be satisfying, but whatever you're working on in the moment, if you hear that ping or somebody sends you a message while you're at work or you're at school, you immediately leave your focus of what you're doing and go spend time doing that other thing. And that can't be the case. We need to focus on what we need to focus on so that we can make the choices and stop overthinking the things that we're thinking, the things that we're doing. So number 3, clear your head. And so what I want you to do here is I want you to learn to get caught in the process of a thought flow. I want you to get into a thought flow, and I want you to orchestrate this event so that you can think through the things that you need to think through. That makes sense. I said think a lot there, but so this is really cool. What I want you to do, I want you to set a timer. This is not a timer on your phone I don't want your phone anywhere near you, actually. Step 1 is get your phone out of the room. It can't be near you. You can't see it, because the dopamine and the power of the phone is going to distract you all the time. We don't have the power as humans to fight the neuroscience that is a smartphone. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But so what I want you to do is I want you to set a timer for 5 minutes. I want you to get your phone out of the room. I want you to get to a place where it's just you. You're undistracted by people. You're undistracted by family, friends. You're undistracted by your phone. I want you to get out a piece of paper. You can do this on your computer too, but computers are distracting, right? Because you can always go to, ESPN.com for me. That's my vice. Or you can go check the news, or you can go to Facebook or whatever on your computer. So we want to get our computer away from us. I want you to get a piece of paper. I want you to get a pen or a pencil, and for 5 minutes, set that timer, and I want you to just start writing. And it doesn't even have to be about the problem that you're overthinking right now. But I just want you to, it can be, and it should be potentially, but I just want you to start thinking, just a stream of conscious thoughts. I want you to write down whatever it is. I want you to, even if you get distracted in that moment, just like, hey, that distracted me. And then then because you're calling it out and you can get back to what it is that you're supposed to be focusing on. But for 5 minutes, I want you to do this exercise, and you might need to work up to it. You might need to start with 2 minutes. But so for 2 minutes, then 5 minutes, start writing just your stream of conscious thoughts so you can clear your head. You can begin to ease your mind. You can be able to get rid of distractions. And then you're going to be able to, in that moment, once you've gone through this 5 minutes, you're going to have a clear head. It's uncluttered. For the first time in however long, there's nothing else except your stream of conscious thoughts. And you're writing them down, which is why you're staying focused on that stream of thought. So write it down, and when you're done doing that, you might have worked out the solution to your problems in writing, but in that moment, you might be able to make a clear, conscious choice. And if you still can't, set your timer, set your deadline to go back to the rule of 30, small, 30 seconds, medium, 30 minutes, big decisions, 30 hours. And then at the end of that time, make that choice. And I think that just too often we get in this habit of not giving ourselves the space to be able to think purely and consciously because of all the distractions, because of all the things that are going on in our lives. And so those are 3 simple ways, simple patterns that you can start to do to make these choices. Because here's the deal. I think too often we major in minor things. Too often we make, it's what's the saying? You make a mountain out of a molehill, right? Like these small things that are just not that big of a deal, or even medium decisions that are just not that big of a deal, but we pine and we pine and we pine over these decisions where we just need to make a choice and move on. Stop making mountains out of molehills. Stop making bigger things out of things that are so small and so minor in your life that they are not going to have some big impact to you, to your family, to your loved ones, to your friends, to your job, to your school, to your career. Stop worrying about the things that shouldn't be worried about. And I know that you could probably sit there right now and even write down things that you're worrying about, and then just logically look at the list and be like, man, I'm worried about this, this thing. Why am I worried about that? It hasn't even happened yet, or it's not even a real thing, but I'm worrying about it. And so one quote that I absolutely love, it's from Lao Tzu. I probably said that wrong, but an ancient Chinese philosopher. He says, stop thinking and end your problems. And it's so clear and so logical, but it's like, just stop thinking and you end your problems, because most of the time we are creating or we're projecting fear based on our thoughts. And that gets us into this endless cycle of overthinking. So that's the thing. And if you're listening to this podcast, you know that I can't not mention the Second of Strength. So it's the Second of Strength podcast. And my true belief is that if you are caught in indecision, then it takes 1 single second of strength to make that choice. So, because what's going to happen, even if you do the rule of 30, right, where you're saying, okay, in 30 minutes, I have to make this choice. It's a medium decision, or 30 hours, I have to make this choice, and it's a big decision. Well, when that timer ticks down to 30 hours and you need to make that choice, there's going to come a moment where you are still going to sit there and go, man, how do I do this? But you need to find your 1 second of strength and make the choice. Just make the choice. Choose to do it, because you have the power to control your brain. Hack your brain, make the choice, make the logical choice based on what it is. And then here's the deal. Don't look back. Don't look back. Don't second guess the decision you've made because of where you're at or what's going, or the headwinds that might come your way. Don't look back. Make the choice and move forward. And I promise that it'll help you. So, man, I think that overthinking is it's one of those things. Everybody does it to some extent in their life. Some people do it more, some people do it less, but overthinking, it's a real thing. And it's a real issue that is keeping you, myself, other people from happiness and from reaching our potential, because we're getting caught in the minutia instead of moving forward to the things that are going to benefit us in our life. So those 3 things, the rule of 30, the 70% rule from Jeff Bezos, and then clear your head, get a conscious stream of thought, and any of those, at the end of the day, you're going to have to use your 1 second of strength to make that final choice or make the final push to the choice. And I know that you have the power to do that. I know that you have the power to do that because I've seen it in my life, and I've seen it in the life of so many other people who have been impacted by the 1 second of strength. So that's what I have for you today. I hope it helps. Share this episode with someone. I think it'll help someone else. You never know who is struggling with one thing or another, and all we can do is share it. So if you'll share it on Instagram, tag me at @RealTannerClark, or send a text to somebody that you think might want to listen to this episode or any of my episodes, and I know it'll help. So, and as always, going to leave you with this: make sure you go find your 1 second of strength and be happy. Thank you for listening to today's episode. I hope it helped you. If you haven't already, hit subscribe so you never miss another episode, and leave a review for the show. And as always, go find your 1 second of strength and be happy.